We're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie. You get all quiet. You be like it's like a real studio. Like we not just sitting here shooting the shit. Like, and I could chop and cut and paste and all the things that I do. Even though this computer's starting to get like, nigga, I wasn't made for this. It's like I ain't built for this. It's the work.
Well,
My
I'm
work.
used to being the one that does the editing, so I like
Yeah.
to it get easier to
He
edit.
is.
So
Yeah.
like once we start, I'll be like, listen, if something go on, put it in the chat. Don't be on here like, oh my,
Yeah.
we got time for that.
Yeah. No, see, I mean, but this is how I do my music. This is how. So it's a different. You know what I'm saying? Different muscle a little bit. All right. We're here. Oh, I like that. Never. We're going to do it like we're going to use that one right at the right at the buzzer. Welcome to DM Therapy. There's things going on outside my house that I hope you can't hear. Uh, this is our weekly podcast for now, where Khadijah and I talk about things and do stuff, and hopefully you guys are super intrigued and interested by it. I always play these. This is inside baseball, but I always play these right after we finish for my mom and see how she feels about it. And if she get it, then I'm like, oh, it was good because she's a beautiful lady that has to be my marker for like what the general public would be like, even though she loves me and she loves Khadijah too. So I don't know if that's a good bar, but whatever. It's good enough for
I
me.
think it is. If mom
Yeah.
likes us, we're good.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's how I've gone through my whole life. So you know, she thinks I'm great, so I might as well be able to. I should be
Clearly,
able
I'm
to do
great.
everything.
Obviously.
uh, I mean, isn't that how everybody does life? Um, okay. All right. So this week, I don't know. I said it like that. I'm like super excited. I'm like this. I just got questions. I got 400 questions that I could potentially ask, and here's one of them. Even though, one second, I'm gonna throw something at my cat really quickly. So this is what I'm gonna. Oh, he got down.
He heard you. He was like, wait, what?
He's like, you ain't throwing that at me.
Like, oh, let me get down.
I never knew. It's my Tony Baker. All right, so see, all of that will be cut off. That's what I mean. I could just, this is where my extensive following of people in the business. Why does it keep wanting to? My computer keeps wanting to go dark. Um, all right, so this week the question. My phone went dead. The question is
good, because you was probably trying to ask me something that's above my pay grade.
I mean, it's deep, but like, all right. So here's the thing: I have would you rather's, right? But then I also have philosophical questions. Usually in my classes, I'll start with the would you rather's, like something easy, like would you rather spend a week in the forest or in a haunted house? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's like, or would you rather have a chef or a maid? Like, you know what I'm saying? Those things are easy. Then I can get into what's the meaning of life? Like, you know what I'm saying? By the time I'm finished. So by then they're ready to answer. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're ready to have a conversation. They're ready to mix it up. Even though I had this one class and they was like, don't do no more of those. Because that was too much. My hair hurt. And I'll be all into it. So I'll be ready. So the question this week, procrastinating. The question this week is it possible to change human nature? And if it is, what should be changed?
Um, I mean,
that's
I guess
good radio.
I would say I want to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think like as you just looking at my own life, like as you move through life, you start getting, you have different experiences, And the way that you were, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's just how I am." The way that you were,
Mm-hmm.
you are no longer that way based off of different experiences that you have or healing
Right.
journeys that you go on. So, what was just a part of who you are? It doesn't always stay that way for some people. Um, but if we're just talking about just human beings in general,
Mm-hmm.
I think in general, I think the human race, like we're horrible people. Like we kill, we murder. We are greedy. So I think a lot of those ways need to be changed. But if we're talking about like individual, people from where they started to where they can end up, yeah, I think you could definitely change. I was very angry and mean, and when I was younger. And I know a lot of people think that I still am now because I have the rest in B face. But
Mm-hmm.
I even feel nicer on the inside. I even
Oh,
feel like I have more compassion for people than I did then
shoot.
because I felt like I hated everybody then. Like
Mm-hmm.
even people that hadn't done anything to me, I just hated everybody. I thought everybody was horrible,
Mm-hmm.
except for my friends.
Right.
But I don't feel that way now. Like I have much more compassion for people, but that just came with moving through life and seeing how people were living and
Mm-hmm.
you know having conversations with my friends who didn't hate everybody, people like you and Kendra and Ayman on them. So I started to, I guess, awaken, if you want to say, or have
Mm-hmm.
that woke moment where I was like, okay, you don't really have to be angry. I think it was like a defense mechanism
Right.
to come off as the angry, mean, tough person.
Mm-hmm.
When I really wanted to be able to be more of who I'm becoming, because I'm still working on it. But yeah, I think you can definitely change your nature. Human
Right.
nature, I don't know. I think people are just horrible. Humans are
Yeah.
horrible.
So this is the thing, and I love that answer. I think when I hear that question, it makes me think they're asking, can you change the outlook of humanity? Like, can you, like the way that human beings are, can you change that? Or is it just in our nature to be the ways that we are, that we like right now?
What do you think? Let me hear. Let me hear what you think first,
Well, I can't give you my answer before you answer
because
the
I just want to. Because I think I still think yes. I think
and
that.
I feel like you know my answer anyway, but I want to know what you think.
Well, you're my friend Omar, so my friend Omar has
What's my,
all the good answers.
well,
Um, no, I still think yes. I think kind of like what we were talking about before. I think some people just stay in the same spot and they think that life is miserable. I'll never amount to anything. And then there are some people who used to feel that way, but they don't feel that way anymore. They've have some newfound hope, or they've
mhm,
met somebody that's able to like encourage them and inspire them, or they see somebody in their neighborhood that's doing something they never thought that they could, just like the mayor in
mhm,
Philly. So it might be a little black girl somewhere who was like, oh, I never thought that I could do anything other than this,
right.
but now I see that I can. So I think people can change, period. Like no matter how you used to think, how you used to be, how horrible your situation was, what you've done in the past, people can change. I've seen my mom do a complete about face from who she was in her BC days before Christ
Mhm,
to who
mhm,
she is now. Like she's a
mhm,
completely different person. I mean, she still has a lot of her, personality, but her outlook on things and how accepting she is of certain things, and how she tries to be more caring and understanding is completely different than the mom of the 80s and 90s where like do what I say and that's just that. um so yeah, I think you can have a different outlook than what you originally had growing up. Um, Even if you like maybe change your area, like if you move out of Philly,
Hmm.
or you move out of Baltimore, wherever you are, you're like, oh wow, now your eyes are open to something completely different.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Every time, every time I say that, I think about that bull from the app. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Don't tell me you don't remember that. Um, the guy with the ankh. Remember you was telling him about the ankh, and
Oh yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. Two
he
things
was like,
can be true at the same time.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
One of them has to be false. Okay,
Well,
my
let me ask you
brother.
this. That's all I always think about. Every time I
Okay.
think about this. Um,
Fake Dr. Umar. He was a fake
yeah,
Christian Dr. Umar.
yeah. Um, uh, now I forgot my question because I'm too happy about the metaphor, or analogy, or whatever, or the reference. But do you think that the things that you were listing, do you think that those things are in human nature? Do you think it's in our nature to be greedy? Do you think it's in our nature to be selfish? Do you hateful? All those things. Do you think it's in our nature? Is that our nature?
Yeah, I think that's the nature of
How
human.
come?
Because I believe we were all born with like a sinful nature, and um, I also think that's part. But I also think we have like encoded in our DNA some kind of way, like a moral compass, so that you don't necessarily nobody necessarily has to tell you that killing somebody is wrong. Like if you're, in your right mind, like certain things you just know off the rip. So I do believe that everybody is born with a sinful nature, but I do believe we all have like our own like morals and a moral compass within us.
Okay.
But I just think humans, just from looking at the history of humans since they've been on this planet, that's
Hmm.
all they seem to have done is just rape, pillage, just I don't know, and I'm not going to say any color of people who done this,
Okay, good.
but
Because we don't want to signify, and we don't
but
want to
there are
exclude
some there
anybody.
are some folks who have done a
Right.
little bit more.
Okay. No,
But
listen. I take your word for it. I'm not implicating nothing or nobody. I'm just going to listen and touch and agree. What can you?
touch and agree.
I just I like that phrase. Um, can you dig a little bit deeper into what you mean when you say a sinful nature?
I just believe that because I mean I think that you think that humans are like naturally good people, and I don't.
Hmm.
I think that we are naturally like just horrible, and that if you do something other than that, that's why it's harder because it's not your nature um to do good and be good. I just think that that's just the way. I don't know if it's the religious aspect
Hmm.
that's just ingrained in me, but I believe that just like again, like I said, just based off of how we are, and it's not even a race thing because all races of people are prone to just doing evil things. I think sometimes it's harder to do the right thing than it is to do the wrong thing. Even down to, some people, yeah, they forgot to bring your stuff up in the market, you would take it back. But most people are going to be like, whatever. Now, that's
Hmm.
not a big deal, but I think it's easier to just do that than it is to do the right thing.
You see my wheels turning. I'm like, oh, I, I wish we were or I
3
want to
hour
see the video.
podcast
Yeah,
coming.
but no, I just wish like I'm gonna have to. I want to look at the video of it because I want to see the moment where my brain was like, like to discuss more because one thing immediately it makes me think that you're it almost and forgive me if I'm misrepresenting you, but I feel like you just said that the religious part of me makes me see the sins of other people.
No, the religious part of me makes me think that the from the fall, in the Garden of Eden, from that point on, when
Mm-hmm.
sin entered the earth, that we've just
Mm-hmm.
been prone to sin ever since that point.
Okay.
And I truly believe that. Now I'm not going to say, literally I believe that,
Mm-hmm.
she ate
Yeah.
the fruit, the serpent came. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe at some point, um, sin entered the world, and some variation of that story, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was what's in the Bible or what they have in Ethiopia, Africa, whatever. At
Right.
some
Whatever that
point,
is.
some variation of that story that happened, and from that point on, people have been fighting, like even in the name of religion. Like, why was there ever the Crusades? Like, that is wild to me. And like,
Right.
I had this conversation with you and a lot of other people when we talk about right now. Oh, it's so bad out here. Oh, it's so terrible. They're killing people. Da, da, da. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine being at the well washing your clothes and you come back and your whole village is burned down. Your kid, your mom, for nothing, just because you said, hey, I want to be Muslim. And they said, oh,
Right.
really? I'm killing you. Or, hey, I'm Christian. Or, really? I'm burning all this down. Or, hey, you got a period. You're a witch. Let's burn you. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa,
Well,
whoa, whoa.
that one's true though.
Okay, disclaimer. I don't I don't believe in those views. That's not me.
Oh, okay.
Um,
No, I mean, if we're gonna be, if we're gonna be real about
like,
it, let's
what? She's
make
bleeding
sure
and
we know
doesn't
that.
die. She's a witch. Burn her. Like, hold up.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
like, even I'm very, I'm pro black. I do love my Kardashians, but I'm very blackly black, black,
No,
black.
no. That's getting cut out. We're not going right back in. We're not going to
It's
go
too
right
funny.
back into the Kardashians
No,
after
but I had this
after.
conversation with people all the time. When I look at the pictures
Mm-hmm.
from the lynchings, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you to stand there with your wife, your
Mm-hmm.
kid, and your baby, and you guys are cheesing, and there's
Yeah.
two people hanging. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk about it a lot anymore because they kept putting me in Facebook jail. Even if I would post a picture and
Oh
don't put a
yeah.
caption,
Uh-huh.
I'm not even saying anything. This
Right.
is a real life picture that really happened to me. It's like, uh, diabolical. You're wild. So between the Crusades, between just everything that goes on, it just makes me think that, yeah, sin entered into this world, is here, and we are just sinful in nature. And can that be changed? I think it can be, but I think you have to, again, I think you have to fight against your sinful nature more than you have to fight against, the
So,
opposite way.
all right. So I pulled up the seven deadly sins. Right. We got envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, pride, greed, and lust. We're gonna leave the lust one out of there because I don't believe in no, that's not true. Do you believe that since whatever happened, that all of these things are just in human nature?
Yes.
Every single person.
Hmm.
So
I think you have the capacity to, like, everybody may
right.
not be, a
Right,
glutton.
but is that our nature though? Is what I mean. Even
Yeah, I
like
think you have
what
to
you're
fight against it. Like, I think some may be stronger. Like, everybody has their own sin that is plaguing them. So maybe for this person, they're struggling with eating. So in
mhm.
order for them to keep the weight off, they have to fight their urge to eat. So they're exercising, they're working out. Yeah, they look good, but they're fighting against being a glutton. Or envy and jealousy. Like, some people are envious and jealous, so maybe they have to, work on
But
themselves and do personal development to not, have
so
those feelings.
that brings up a even more interesting question because is this like my toxicity argument, but it's like, is that the human or is that the sin? You feel me? Like, is it something being introduced into what is our nature, or is it just a part of who we are? Like, so a baby is born and he immediately has pride, sloth, wrath, gluttony, envy, lust, greed.
Well, I'm not, basing it off of that list. I'm just saying in general, babies, I do believe, are born into sin, original sin. Like we are born into sin because of what happened at that point. And when you
Hmm.
ask, is it human nature? I believe when the first humans were created, it
Hmm.
was not part of their nature. But once the sin entered the picture, and as more generations of human came to be on the earth, it is part of our nature that we are sinful in nature. Hence the reason, why all of these religions are trying to point everybody back to God. You're trying to point everybody back to this place of, trying to get to a place of holiness and forgiveness for sins and so on and so forth. Now, um, religion is a whole nother topic too, because I kind of feel like a lot of it is based in control, to try to control the people to,
Right.
move the way you want them to move. But I do think there is like, a reason and for it, and that is to try to get people back to where they were, to get them as close to the original, I guess, state of who we were. But we're so far gone. Like I believe, like maybe second and third generation away from Adam, Eve, whoever was Isis, whoever. Um, it may not have been, just in their nature as it is now, but we're all these generations away. Yeah, I think we are born into just a sinful nature.
That's interesting. I disagree. Obviously, I think you already said that, but and it's funny because I was raised Catholic. You know what I'm saying? I went through my rites of passage. I don't remember what they're called anymore. But I went through all my sacraments and stuff like that. Um and it's definitely the way that I was brought up. Um but even like listening to it and like you said, experiencing people and kind of just my own feeling. Like you said something that and I'm just going to keep I'm going to try to keep going back to what you said so I can uh hear what you're saying. My computer just wants to keep going off. But like the people that are, you said, oh, this was said. I don't know, paraphrase you, but this is kind of what I think you said. You said that you know when you're killing somebody that that's the wrong thing to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, most people who are in their right mind, not those who
Right.
are, yeah.
Yeah. So what signifies not being in your right mind? Like, is there a just reason to kill somebody?
Well, that could be a whole nother topic. Is there a just reason? I guess if someone's trying to kill you and you want to protect yourself,
Hmm.
yeah and no,
Right.
because killing somebody is
Just
wrong.
wrong, no matter
Period.
what.
Right,
Right.
but if you're protecting yourself, then okay, it's understandable. It's justifiable, I guess.
Hmm.
Um,
So do you go to hell for killing somebody in self defense?
well, I don't know about hell because I don't know if I necessarily believe in
Oh
hell.
well,
I'm
meaning
just
like,
saying that what I'm saying when I say killing
do you need
somebody,
to
I
be
mean like,
absolved of that murder if the murder was, I get, and I guess you're getting into if it's murder, if it's self defense. I don't know, like, but
well,
if
I mean
that
that I
killing.
don't know. I don't know. I don't really try to, like, when I think of religion and heaven or hell, like I don't
Hmm.
know enough about that to even like formulate an opinion on it. I don't know. When I all I'm saying is that nobody has to tell you that doing that is wrong. If somebody tries to harm you, then you're going to defend yourself. But just in general, like I don't have to tell. Like my mom never had the conversation with me, like, hey, you know, don't go out there and kill anybody. Like that certain things. I just feel like we know certain things are wrong. They don't feel good, within us. As far as heaven and hell, and do you have to be absolved, or is it right or wrong? I don't know. Like, I don't know how the higher power is going to operate when it comes to what we're down
Hmm.
here doing. I really don't know, and I don't think anybody knows. And when people say yay or nay, they're just guessing. Just like, all sin is sin, and like, I try not to get into those conversations because nobody really knows. I just feel like, we know right from wrong to a certain degree. But I also think that we have it in us because of sin entering into the world to just be wrong and just do wrong. Even in the Crusades, they thought that they were justified in doing that because this is the right way to God. And if you don't believe that, you're a
Hmm.
horrible person. So they thought that they were justified,
Hmm.
but that mentality, like, there's something wrong there. And I think that's just because of the nature of humans, to even think that something like that is okay. When those people were lynching, I'm not going to say if they knew it was right or wrong. I don't know, but I feel like at the time they did not think that they were doing anything wrong. They felt like they were justified. These are not people. These are a
Hmm.
property. They really believed that, so
Hmm.
much so that they did all those horrible things. So what I if I'm explaining right, what I'm trying to say is the fact that they could justify that in their mind just shows that there's something wrong with humans, period. And this not even just a race thing. I'm talking about just different, like, the tribes in Africa. Like, you're selling your own people into slavery. Now, they probably didn't think that it would amount to what it is now, but the fact that you whatever in your mind said, hey, let's do this,
Hmm.
it was not, it was wrong thinking, but you thought that it was, so that's why I said, like, I don't know about the heaven and hell thing, because if you think that you're doing the right thing, then you know what I'm saying, and you're doing it, you still get punished for it because you really believe that
Right.
that's the
So that and
thing.
that's and this is what I'm asking, because a lot of times, and this is what you said, it's in some of these books. If you interpret it a certain way to do the things that these people do, like, you know what I'm saying, um to be hurtful, to be um to conquer in the name of something, to, all of these things. And it's obviously interpretation, but I don't even know though if that means that a person is not in their right mind, unless you want to say that being taught something, to believe something, even though you have that internal compass of morality within you, saying that it's not right. Because I don't know if I believe in that necessarily either. I don't believe in universal morality. I feel like uh, morality is relative based on your situation, and I feel like uh, you know we were talking about that hierarchy of needs before, but it's like, I don't know, like murder and theft and things like that. I'm not sure if those things are not influenced by situations. I asked, who did I ask? Did I ask you? I don't know. I was sitting with I feel like I asked in one of my classes, but I haven't had one in like a week or so. So I'm like, maybe not. But I mean, it must have been my last class. But if I was raised to not like black people, do you think that at some point in my life I should just figure out that that's not right?
It happens all the time, though. Like, you see people from super racist families, they go
Hmm.
out, they meet a black man, they get a mixed baby, and the family is like, either they disown them, or I've seen where the super duper racist, grandfather is like, well, look, she got that's my grandbaby, and they changed. So I think that Yes, like I think that people, like, that it's wrong. Um, I don't think, but like I said, like you maybe at the time you felt strong enough to say, hey, this person is like, whatever you got to do to convince yourself in your head that this is right. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have to do that. Like, you had, in order to do the crusade, you had to convince yourself that you were doing it in the name of Christ. That doesn't mean that you thought that it was the right thing to do, but it's right because I'm doing it for this reason. But
Mm-hmm.
it's wrong. So that's why you have to do it in the name of Christ
What
or
what
whatever.
makes you know?
But
What makes you know that? What makes you know that it's wrong though?
because why? Because somebody doesn't accept your religion and you're killing them. That doesn't make any sense. They still have
To
not
who? To
accepted your
who?
religion.
If
To
if
anybody.
I'm being taught, right? If I'm being taught that the one thing in life that I need to do is honor my deity, I honor my God. Who's teaching me that any me doing anything I need to do that is not correct?
I don't, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody needs to teach you that. I
Well,
think
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
something that
How
you
do you figure that
know.
out though? How do you know? Like, all right, so here's the example, and this is it wasn't a crusade example, but I went hiking one time at a place called World's End State Park, which is already a bad idea. Sometimes I just get up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drive 3 hours to a to a national park, and not really thinking about it. This happens to me every time I go somewhere, but almost every time I go somewhere, especially for hiking. There are no black people where I go, so I pull up and this is back when I had my BM, so I was like really, you know what I'm saying, flexing. I pulled up to the forest in my BM, and um, there were maybe three black people there who probably had the exact same idea that I that I did. Oh, this looks neat. So I promise you, it felt like a cartoon or a TV show, the way that every face in that place turned around and looked at me all at the same time. Like, what is that? I might as well have been Bigfoot, right?
Hmm.
Um, so it only dawned on me at that moment, one, oh, I've come 3 hours away from my home without telling nobody. And it ain't no black people out here. Go figure. But that was one realization I had that day. But the second realization was that none of those people in that area, almost probably any of them, have ever seen a black person in person.
Hmm.
And the only, which is crazy, but the only time that they've probably seen black people was on the news, on the rap, the rap TV, hippity hop, you know what I'm saying, the videos, and like BET. If they might have changed the channel the wrong way, right? So, and it was some young people there. I was like in my 30s, but there was like a kid there, and he was like 16 years old, and they were like, it was a group of young people. Because what I didn't know is I was wandering, or I stumbled upon basically their swimming pool, which was a lake inside of a wooded kind of area, and you could tell from the way that he looked at me that he had never seen one of us in person, and this was 7 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't a long time ago. So it just made me think, and this is something that I ask my kids too, but it's like, if everything I know is something that somebody else tells me, and they have built me up to feel like this is true, this is real. How do I how do I know internally that that's not true. Like, I mean, if I had never stumbled, meaning like if I had never stumbled upon that place, that area, they might have never seen one of us in person. Like, what I'm saying, or it was another couple, and it was maybe like three other people, but you know, they may have never, and like, I'm thinking like maybe that might have been the story of that young person's life. Like, oh man, I saw my homie, saw my homie from Philly. What I mean? Now all of a sudden he got all kinds of cred in wherever world. I don't know where it's at. It's like near Allentown somewhere or something. It's like I feel like it was like halfway, like the same distance when I went to Canada. So it's like in between Philly and there, wherever that is. But uh you know, how do they know that it's not right? So let me finish that thought. If all of those people there supported and said to these people that, oh, those people are the enemy, the TV says it, um, everything, like all like like all of their experiences have reinforced what their families are saying, or what their literature says, or whatever that is. Do you think that internal, and I'm doing air quotes, but that internal morality is stronger than that? And really, we're getting into nature versus nurture, but do you think that it's stronger than that?
um every time I had the nature versus nurture conversation, I always say, like, I believe that that doesn't matter. I believe
Mm-hmm.
that, you can have two kids in the same household, and one will be
Mm-hmm.
like, "This is not right. This is not
Mm-hmm.
right. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do something different." And it works this in the opposite direction too. You can have a
Mm-hmm.
little black kid who's been told that he's never going to be anything. He's not going to amount to nothing. Your father was in jail. Your mom was on crack. You are going to go to jail and be on crack too. And he can say to himself, "No, that's not right. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z." And it doesn't have to be because of somebody telling him that. Now, I'm not saying that my growing up was as harsh as that, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of, reinforcement or reassurance or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my brother were in the same household. He
Mm-hmm.
rebelled all his life until, he was murdered. I fought to learn. Like, when I got
Right.
to high school, I didn't feel like I was getting the information that I needed, and other people were playing in class. I'm in the classroom yelling, "Look, I need this because I want to do something different." So I believe that, yeah, I believe that it doesn't matter. Like, and turning that, do I think it's strong? Maybe it's not as strong, in that kid, because everything around him, he's kind of like in a bubble. It may not be as strong, but I believe
Mm-hmm.
that he has the capacity and the ability within him already, something that would tell him that that's not right. And if he does not, and he's doing something or he does something, he has to justify it, because you have to justify it because you know that it's wrong. You know that it's wrong. That's all. That's how I believe. I believe strongly that, because I see it all the time. I see sisters
So.
and brothers in the same household, and one is just like, "I can't get over the fact that my dad don't love me," and the
Mm-hmm.
other one is like, "The fact that my dad don't love me is pushing me and propelling me to make sure that I don't do the same thing. So I'm gonna do this, this, and that, so that I don't ever be in a situation like that." So I think we all have it, and
Mm-hmm.
if maybe it's about how strong it is, or how strong you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
would determine, which route you take. But
Mm-hmm.
do I believe that everybody can do it? Yes.
So it's like weird because
That's why I
I
said
don't.
initially that you can change. I feel like you can
Mm-hmm.
change because, you have the ability to change. I don't think people are just like, rah rah monsters walking around here on the earth, but I do think that we are more prone to be, evil, and whatever say evil is, or sin, or however you look at it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just choosing this instead of that. I
Why is
do
that? Why do you think that? Like, you have to make it more. plain to me then sin was introduced into the world, and why do you think we have a natural proclivity towards doing bad, quote unquote?
If I never heard that story, I would not. I don't know. I have no idea why we are that way. I don't know.
So my issue with
But that
that.
makes sense to me that we were out here, we were living, and we were, wonderful people, and
Mm-hmm.
more like God, and more like
Mm-hmm.
whoever the higher power was. We were more like that, and then something happened, and
But
now we.
the crazy thing is, it don't seem like it was that long before that happened. So, like, I don't know how long. Um,
That's a good question. I need to look that up because it does
yeah,
seem
like,
like God was like, "Boop, there you go," and
yeah,
it was like, "Ooh,
yeah,
apple, ooh,
right. Like
orange,"
that happened like really early in the movie, right? Like,
like
you
in
know
the
what I'm saying?
beginning.
And then all of a sudden, it was like no. And then he apparently was like, all right, it got okay again a little bit, but then it got bad again. So he just wiped everybody out again, like the Matrix. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just was like, all right, we're gonna try it again, and every time. So I think, just on a side note, I think there's a benefit to pushing that idea if you are trying to get people to believe in your religion. However, I feel like you are saying that it is more in people's nature to know the right thing but choose to do the wrong thing. So that's why I'll pose it to you again. Do you think that that is people's nature, or do you think that that's human nature, or do you think when given the opportunity, some people will choose? Because why didn't you choose that thing? Were you fighting sloth and all those things, whatever those things are, greed and all those things, or did you just have within you a desire to do what you felt was correct?
Because I looked at what was in front of me, my environment, and said, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
that.
Right.
And, he looked at what was in front of him and said, this is all that I can get.
Right.
And
And
so
the thing is, how much older was he than you are?
he was a lot older than me. He was 9 years older than me.
Okay, so
But I've
my
had,
brother.
like, even like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know why humans are the way they are, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
good, bad, whatever. I really don't have an answer for it. And I haven't even thought about it. I just look
Mm-hmm.
at the nature of people now. And maybe
Well,
it's just my
purview.
view.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it just
Yeah.
seems like
Mm-hmm.
we are lined up with that story. Like we just
Right.
out here on some
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and so you gotta be
Hold on.
like
What are we like? I missed it. I
you
could.
like rah. So we got to so in order to not be that way, you gotta make a conscious decision to be like, you know what? I don't want to be a monster. I
Right.
don't like the monsters that I'm seeing around me. I don't want to be that. I want to be something else. And I didn't
Right.
even really, I was always like that, even though like I had that little epiphany. And I think it was
Mm-hmm.
like the sixth grade when I saw the Navy SEAL and the engineer bull.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But even before then, like in the midst of like being teased and just being like so depressed, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing to somebody else because that's hard. Like I was like, oh, I got to do something to get away from this. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of those kids who used to tease me and try to bully me, like they look like me. And so you're probably upset and you're trying to like put it on me. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I really
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, I'm glad. Um, I'm glad that you kind of brought it to that. And then, like, these are not questions that you're supposed to know the answers to. Like, what I mean? So it ain't like you're like, I got you. You don't even know. However, it's like I love this because and I think this is kind of what our dynamic is a lot of times, but you and what you've said here is kind of an avatar for society to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, have you really thought about these things, or do you just take it? You've taken your experiences, and now it's like, this is what I am. Like I told you, that person said to me, well, Philly and fuckboys made me this way. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, that's what your whole uh like your whole mode after that is, all right, well, this is how I'm going to be, and this is how the world is, and and what are you doing, what are they doing, what is anybody doing to introduce other ideas into this world? Because I feel more than anything that if there's one me, then there's 10 me's, right? And I know how I think, and I know, and it's hard to find, but like we talked about this before. There's 7 billion, 8 billion people in the world, so I feel like there has to be 100 people that have very, very similar aligned beliefs as I do. If I put a list of 30, like, we could maybe get like 15 to 20 of those things aligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you said, um I was never a person that really dug into the dark side, like, you know what I'm saying, like
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage and things. And listen, I was light skinned in the 90s, you know what I'm saying, and I'll be sure era, you know what I'm saying. I could have been a terrible person, you
Yeah.
know, but you
I
know,
was light skinned in the 90s. Like,
you know what I'm saying. Well, I'll be sure came out. It could have been old for everybody. It could have been curtains, but no, I stayed true to my Jesus. No, no, but like, you know what I'm saying. So like, I don't. It's almost like, to me, you've kind of backhandedly proven that human nature should be, or is, that which knows the right thing to do. Now, whether or not we choose to do that, that's free will and all those other things. I would love to get in a conversation about free. I mean, we talked about free will before, but like, kind of get into what that means and things like that, because we were talking about destiny and fate and things like that, and where that leads you. But it's like, I don't know. I do, and like, now an hour later, let's get into my answer. But I do believe that the heart of a person out the womb is good. Like, you know what I mean? I don't believe that we're out here birthing antichrists. Like, you know what I'm saying? Every person. But it's also, and I've been picked on, I've been bullied, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not as much as you, or the next person. And then I became a big strong man too, so that, you know what I'm saying, I'm sure people stopped at a certain point, you know what I'm saying, when I finally surpassed
proud and rock.
5'8", you know what I'm saying, they were like, wait, we can't mess with that one no more. um but i I feel like, I feel like the internal nature of humans, and the thing is, it's like, I feel like we are, I, in a way, like how you say, so far removed from what our nature is, that it would take a lot to, um, have us all choosing our nature over everything that's introduced into our experience. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it would take a lot. So when I'm answering that question, do I think we can change human nature? My real answer is, I don't know if I would want to change human nature, because I don't believe that human nature is a poor thing. However, I feel like we have, and like I said, it's my toxicity argument, that once you introduce toxic behavior and attitudes, and we all it is reinforced everywhere that we go, right? So as long as you're introducing that, it becomes a maybe easier and easier to make those toxic choices, but the thing becomes toxic. It's not the thing that was normally meant to be. Like, so like if you pour some toxic stuff into water, it's not toxic water, it's just it's a toxic substance. You know what I'm saying? So in that respect, in the way that you're saying it, or the way that I'm hearing it rather, it is we are that is not humanity. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you can even hear it, like a lot of people are saying like we want to get back to humanity, or we want to um foster more humanity into what we're doing. And I feel like if you think about it like that, if you look at a river that has like toxicity in it, think about Flint or whatever, like water that has toxicity in it, like what do you have to do to make that lake or that water system, that stream, non-toxic again? You know, because I feel like there's a lot of outside forces that are introduced into us from a young age, um, that make us behave in the way that we are. But I feel like if we were born into a non-toxic environment, then we have more there would be more people leaning toward humanity and what I think is actual human nature versus what we see. You know, and the other thing about it is that what we see is just because toxicity is sexy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody is saying like, oh, look at these people. Like, I could probably go search internet search right now positive groups in Philly and find 15 to 20 positive groups that are cleaning the parks every Saturday, mentoring. You and I represent 20 groups right now that are connected to positivity, but we don't get no play. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not on the shade room. We're not on neighborhood talk or whatever the other thing is. What's the one that my man was just talking about?
Neighborhood
I
talk is
had never
like
even heard of it. Like
one.
rap TV or whatever it's
Oh
called.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Kevin on stage was talking about Rap
Yeah.
TV.
Oh, was it rap TV? Oh, that's good. Look at that memory, that ironclad memory.
But you see the color of the folks that was behind Rap TV.
Well, this is what I mean though. But that even further proves my point. Meaning, like, they know what they're doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? They know, like, they don't need any assistance in introducing toxicity into a mindset. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think if you strip away those influences, if you strip away, like, I have this whole thing about how things changed, uh, when Jerry Springer came on the scene, when Maury came on the scene. Like, our idea of what entertainment was became toxic. And now, like, now there are people that have grown up after that era. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they don't even know. Like, I had a conversation. I don't know if you know this. I teach kids. I had a conversation with one of my classes in the summer, like 2 summers ago, and they literally have issues trying to figure out what's real and what's not real, like from like TikTok and like the TV shows and things like that, because a lot of the quote unquote reality TV, a lot of the reality TV is scripted, right? A lot of these these TikToks are scripted and acted out by actors, and they think it's funny. So when a guy, like, I saw, like, one of the worst things I saw back in the height of World Star was these two black kids went to a strip mall and punched the old lady in the back of her head. and she fell down, and it was like world star, and like that was, the thing. And then, I can only imagine the stuff that I wouldn't allow myself to look at. I saw that on accident. Like, what I'm saying? I can't even imagine what's on there that's not that thing. So you got to imagine, like, those kids that I were talking to were 16 and 17 years old. So they've only grown up in a time where Jerry Springer, Maury, all those things were prevalent in mainstream culture. Like when we were young, Jerry was like something that was just kind of building, and it was still like trash TV. Like now, trash TV has become mainstream TV. Your Kardashians and all those people. But let me start talking about these ladies, giving them free publicity. But so I believe internally that we're we have oh, that's what I was going to say. So the crazy thing is that is not without a certain kind of strength and a certain amount of like quote unquote killer instinct and things and all that stuff. Uh, I'm getting text messages from the person that I'm supposed to be with right now for work, but I'm like, don't text her back. Hey, girl, I can't make it. I'm working. So when she hears this, next month, she'll know
You
that I'm
better
just
cut this
messing.
joint out. She's
Yeah,
not gonna
I
know
just
what time it is.
cut that part. But but I feel like those things are toxic. So the second part of that question is, what would you change? And what I would change is how easily we are influenced by salient things. Like, what I'm saying, how easily we are influenced by things that are put in our face. Like, everybody is there's a lot of arguments for like what we consume, like you become what you consume, like, and there's an argument now about video games. There's an argument now about entertainment. Back in the day, it was an argument about like what we were listening to, like the gangster rap music and stuff like that. So I personally think that there are at least a percentile, like you were saying, there's a percentile of people that were listening to NWA and like, oh, that's the life I want to live. Like, what I'm saying? Could be 4%, but 4% of 8 billion is a lot of people. I'm not a mathematician like you, so I don't know what that is right off that. But like, what I'm saying? So in like the video games, like you can't tell me that these people aren't playing these first person shooters and then wanting to get guns and going out and like the then there's 2% of those 4% that can't delineate what's real and what's not. Like, what I mean? And then like I said, my kids can't always delineate. So it's like if I have, like you said, like if I'm not in my right mind, then I'm going to conflate those things. So what I would like to change is the idea that we and this has to do with like salient. I think I wrote something about this not too long ago, but it's like just because a thing is salient doesn't mean that it's true, and it doesn't mean that it's right. Like, what I mean? All it means is that the person that wants you to see it was uh, more able to get you to see it than the person that wants you to see people cleaning up the park. Like, what I'm saying? And the messed up part about that is that if I'm cleaning up the park, I might not necessarily have a camera crew there because that's not what I'm doing it for. Like, what I'm saying? But if I'm gonna go punch a lady um at the strip mall, I want people to see that because like you always say, like people will do anything to go viral. Like, what I'm saying? People will do anything for those views. And it's getting worse and worse and crazier and crazier. But I like I said, I posit that there are young people that are growing up in an age where people are doing these things and they can't delineate whether or not that's a right thing to do or it's just TV. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not or it's just like, oh, that's just funny. That's what funny is. Like, you know, like I'll all the time I have kids that be like, you know, calm down. Like it's not that serious, but like they don't understand the seriousness of it because they live in a world where a lot of things, quote unquote, aren't that serious, you know, or to them until stuff gets like real, you know, on their surface level, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a lot of. I feel like I just talked for like a half an hour after we after we started, but yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question, but I would encourage, and that's kind of like my whole thing, right? Like I encourage people to think about these things, and like that's all I want to do with my kids because they live in a world where nobody is challenging them to think about things deeply. That's what I want to do. I don't care if like, and so many times have they introduced their perspective to me, and I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree, but I love that angle or I love that idea. So I'm not like going out here like that's why it's so weird because I don't be trying to be on no soapbox. Like, you know, I don't try to be on no soapbox. I just want to share what I think, and then you can share what you think. And like I told you, like I was saying last time, I got into a whole debate because the two things that the one thing that I was offering or arguing, the other people didn't agree. So, you know, they was coming at my neck, and we can't like we don't even live in a place now where we can disagree, and it's not an affront to your whole, you know, like your whole being. So it's I don't know. It's very, it becomes very interesting. But I only want people, like I said, I would encourage people to try. And I know, listen, I know that there are a lot of things out there. It's a lot of trouble, like, you know what I mean, a lot of pain and a lot of hurt out there. And sometimes you don't have time to think about these things. But you know, maybe we can do like we could put some of these questions alongside, like when we start releasing these Jones, like put some of these questions out, and because I would love to have that component um, as a part of like as we do it more, like offer these questions to people, and then they can like come and respond, and then we can kind of read them out at the end here and say like or introduce them into the conversation. But I truly do believe I truly believe that if people thought more deeply, then we would be able to have people thinking more about their actions and their position on things that they might just hear somebody say. Because I feel like this is what happens. Somebody told somebody something, and then they automatically become a bullhorn for that thing. And it's like you haven't even really given this any thought. You just trust the person that you heard, and then you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now
So
you're a
they
proponent.
respond.
Yeah. Now you're you know you out there. It's like it's like I think it's either a RDC joint or a Desi joint where he like you get in the car and you know the cop pull you over and you like, all right, everybody be calm, you know, you're in the passenger seat like, all right, just stay calm, we didn't do nothing wrong, and the driver is like, no, F this, we about to set it off. Like, you know what I'm saying. And you like, oh no, what did I just get
Yeah.
into. And like, you know, that's the other thing too, like when I was in that going that back and forth on Questlove's thread, I had to be mindful too of the people that were taking my side as well, because the whole time I was trying to keep a level of kind of just intelligent back and forth, like, you know what I'm saying, well, if you feel like this, I feel like this, and this is why we don't agree. But it might be somebody that's coming, yeah, and that's why you stupid, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, that's the views of comment number 67 just do not express the views of me, like, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My same views. So you know, I I don't know. I think that thinking more deeply about more things as they come up is important, and I feel like if we did that more, then we might be in a better situation. The end.
Thanks for coming out. God bless
Thanks.
you.
God bless you. Good night. It was like the sun is in my face. I can't